llegamos a la joya de la corona de las técnicas, nunca mejor dicho, el famoso y odiado kingsmove. No resulta muy fácil hacer la distinción entre el open arm top roll y el kingsmove. Son muy similares en teoría y muchas veces en la práctica. La línea que separa estas dos técnicas es bastante difusa. He pasado horas y horas de investigación tratando de averiguar qué es lo que convierte a un kingsmove en un kingsmove y qué es lo que lo diferencia de un open arm top roll, llegando a tal punto de desesperación que tuve que recurrir a la persona que mejor ha desarrollado la teoría y la práctica de estas técnicas.
El mismísimo Devon.
Buddy, I think the difference is the open arm top roll is kind of a top roll with without a lot of internal stabilization. And I think the kingsmove is defined by a whole lot of people whining and crying and acting like a bunch of sissies as soon as you talk about it.
Y bueno, a pesar de que me hizo bastante gracia, mi duda seguía sin resolver. Así que, de momento, esta cuestión, la de cuál es la línea divisoria entre estas dos técnicas, deberá seguir sin respuesta por mi parte, a menos que alguien después de ver este vídeo nos pueda iluminar en comentarios. Hay tanta polémica y tantos errores conceptuales alrededor de esta técnica que creo necesario primero aclarar qué cosas no son un kingsmove. La primera y más importante y la causante de todo el revuelo desde que se popularizó en la wall es la del hombro por debajo de la almohadilla. Y es que cuando hablamos de kingsmove, automáticamente la mayoría de gente piensa en esto. ¿Y cuál es el problema aquí? Bueno, pues que esto que vimos en repetidas ocasiones cuando existía la wall es una falta, es ilegal, no representa la técnica en sí. Estaban haciendo uso de la pobre aplicación del reglamento por parte de los árbitros, porque sí, esto estaba contemplado en el reglamento. El problema es que había una aplicación bastante laxa de las normas, y gente como Devon o Michael se aprovecharon de ello, y es que con dinero y orgullo sobre la mesa, uno hace lo que sea para ganar. Y si bien es cierto que podría considerarse un kingsmove en su momento, era más bien la versión ilegal de un kingsmove. Y aquí fue donde comenzaron todos los chistes sobre Michael debajo de la mesa, y el famoso vídeo de Engin llamándolo el Desperation Move, que desencadenó en una pequeña confrontación entre Devon y Engin. Y bueno, en resumidas cuentas, se abrió un melón que aún a día de hoy sigue dando que hablar.
I thought I'd make another, hopefully final video about the King's move or desperation move, and when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the illegal one, the one where the shoulder's going below the table, below the elbow, you know, humerus is at a downward angle, because I get really frustrated when people keep talking on the internet as if we need to do something about this move. There's nothing to do other than have the refs call the foul. You know, in other sports, football, basketball, hockey, any sport, when a player commits a foul and the ref doesn't call it, no one gets mad at the player. Everyone blames the ref. It should be the same here. And I don't mean to throw refs under the bus, but refs just need to call the foul. As soon as they see that shoulder go down to where it's illegal, they need to call whatever is appropriate for that set of rules. Either call the caution, call the warning, call the foul. Whatever it is, they just need to call it, you know, immediately. And then all these problems go away. It's just crazy to me that we keep blaming the arm wrestlers for doing something when in a time of battle, they're going to do anything they can to try to win. The guy goes down, the ref says stand up. He doesn't stand up, foul. It's just that simple.
He does not understand. Engin Terzi does not understand what is going on when it comes to this style of arm wrestling. He is confusing a foul with a technique. He does not understand what open top roll, king's move, where the lines are and where the technical subtleties lie. As good as Engin is, he doesn't get it.
La segunda cosa que he visto que es bastante utilizada para atacar esta técnica y presentarla como una forma de hacer trampa es la de asumir que la posición de kingsmove se mantiene gracias al bloqueo de la articulación del codo. y que por lo tanto, para ganar a alguien que haga un kingsmove, prácticamente habría que partirle el brazo. Y este argumento va un paso más allá, acusando directamente a personas como devonlarratt o michaeltodd de aprovecharse de su limitado rango de movimiento en el brazo. Y es que ambos son incapaces de extender por completo su brazo, por lo que cabría asumir que el punto donde su brazo ya no puede estirarse más es el punto que utilizan como freno. De ahí en el término en inglés bone lock, bloqueo óseo.
To see how is strong his bicep, now his bone lock.
Y aunque bien es cierto que este tipo de personas con rango de movimiento limitado en el brazo tienen mayor potencial para ser buenos en esta técnica, no es gracias a ese bloqueo óseo. Es decir, no están haciendo un uso literal de ese bloqueo articular por el cual solo se les podría ganar partiéndoles el brazo.
The next problem with it is that it's done really well by people with physical limitations. This process of tightening starts to increase your ability to execute a king's move at a higher angle, okay? Because there's something that happens right before the joint kind of reaches its limit of movement, range of movement. It's like somehow it protects itself more. I can't really give you science here, but guys who have this get real tight at the end of their range.
Then the only people that can legitimately pull, like this within the rules are guys with screwed up arms. And they got to be screwed up arms after 30 years of arm wrestling and popping their elbows and, causing all kinds of damage. And that's a whole nother conversation.
A lot of people think I'm holding them on a bone lock. Like my arm goes to a certain spot, it locks, and then you can't pin it. Except for the only way to beat me is to break my arm. Well, then how have I taken these losses? Right. If the only way to pin me is to break my arm, then how have I taken losses, right? I've gotten very strong right before my arm gets to its fullest point because I think my body's like, this guy's an idiot, he's gonna keep injuring us. So let's try to get the tendons and ligaments and muscles strong right before he gets there so we don't injure him again. That's what I believe my body is doing. So if you're not that guy and you try to just straighten your arm all the way out and stop on your bone, you're at a high risk of injury.
Right.
Because if you get me to the extension of my arm, you will oftentimes see me stand up because it hurts, right. Like I'm in an arm bar. Right. So I don't recommend it for newcomers. Like I hope.
Bien, ahora que ya hemos cubierto las principales ideas erróneas en torno al kingsmove, entremos en su lado estratégico y en su ejecución. Y ya os adelanto, no es para nada simple.
People think the kingsmove is very basic. It is not. People think they can just walk into a gym and do the king's move. They cannot. The king's move is a style of and a form of arm wrestling, and it is very, very complicated. Possibly the most complicated. Without a great deal of understanding of orthodox arm wrestling in all its styles, you can't really understand the king's move. Very few people can do the king's move and can do it in a very efficient manner. Some people have evolved it into a style which, because it can't be really copied and it can't be attacked by 90% of the arm wrestling population because they don't understand it, they feel like it's the end all and they're too lazy to learn that it can be countered. I've broken it down via video, I've watched it and I understand the principles. I've spoken to experts on it like Michael and Devon. Can I do it? And I consider myself very much an arm wrestling expert. No, I cannot. I can do a basic outline of it, but I've spoken to Devon, I've spoken to Mike, I've spoken to the originators of the move. People think it started with Zakowicz. There was actually like 2 or 3 guys doing it at that time. Pascal, I've talked to a bit about it, Gregory Schneider. And one of the things I'll tell you is, it is not consistent. The king's move is not one thing, and it's not done in one fashion. It is a system of arm wrestling. It's far more complex than you think. Do not try and emulate it until you are a master of orthodox arm wrestling.
King's move, open top roll, top rolls in general, like these are all parts of arm wrestling. And as soon as people start to say this one's good and this one's bad, that's when you are just losing technical girth. And you never want to do that. You never want to be like, I'm never going to lose my wrist to win a match. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing to say. To say that you'll never just ditch everything and get your pronation, if that's the answer, you're missing out. You're not as good as an arm wrestler. What I believe really defines the king's move is is you are holding on a pronation. You're willing to basically give everything but that. Mike, do you agree with me?
I think the pronation is the key to it for sure.
Like when you start to hit those red lines and it's like you're going to either lose everything or have to give something up. And that's what a lot of arm wrestling is. You're going to start to give away your wrist. You're going to start to give away your shoulder commitment. But you're going to hold on to that pronation like crazy.
Didn't put a lot of energy into it until I had elbow surgery. That's how most arm wrestlers come to understand the King's move, is because of an injury which makes them lose something, like their side pressure or their ability to cup or their ability to rise. The keys to the success of this move are your pronation in a strap is going to beat your opponent's ability to cup, and your ability to drag without your cup is greater than your opponent's ability to close their elbow angle. The drag is stronger than the curl.
The King's move is a strap-based technique. I like a very tight strap, and the reason being is when I executed my King's move, it's going to be a lot of pronation. So if I get a very tight strap, when my wrist pronates out, it forces yours, because we're tied so tightly, to bend back as well. The reason that's an advantage for me is most arm wrestlers, conventional style arm wrestlers, train to be strong here, right? So the most access to their power is going to be once their wrist is cupped. What my King's move does is it takes that person and it flattens them, or it slightly bends them back. I have full access to all my power with my wrist slightly cracked and pronated. So now I'm in a position I'm used to being in all the time. You're now in a position of frustration. You're uncomfortable. You're panicked.
Yeah.
A lot of guys will come back up and surge, and the more they surge, the more access to my power I get, because they lose ground every time.
There's one thing that's the most vital, I would say it's the thumb. I feel like the thumb lock is what's the turn.
Now,
So you always cap in your King's move.
I'm capping.
Yeah, I'm uncapped.
Okay, so that's an interesting change already. So in the King's move, your anchor is your row, okay? And I don't care where you are on the table, I'm
drag pressure,
I'm rowing,
Okay.
and I'm pronating for everything I'm worth. If we don't have a strap, you won't feel this pressure. So a lot of times when people arm wrestle, they're told to bring their elbows inside their body. But in a King's move, to have your elbow inside your body is not good to create the pronational lock that we're looking for. So what we're looking for, elbow is outside of your body, and you're being opened
yes.
so that your arm is not turned over.
Wow. Yeah.
I hear.
Yeah,
so
that's
you have
really
to
effective.
cut down and open my arm in a straight manner.
Yes.
So when you're setting up King's move, be ready to have that outside elbow outside the body, and drag and set that angle so that you have to open straight, not turned over.
Well, also, once the match stops, there are so many adjustments that are being made. People think, oh, you're sitting there holding. No, you're countering, you're rising, you're bumping side pressure to see where you have access, right? But the pronation, the constant just